Hello, everyone! Your queen has returned!
Where did you go?
Mika's microphone finally gave out on her and she had to get a new one.
Just look at this baby! Look at that sleek design, that professional finish, the pop filter. Ah.
She's in love.
Oh, so does this mean we can finally talk about how we didn't explode 2 months ago?
Hooray, we didn't explode, no hush.
She's not paying attention.
Well, she also isn't kicking you out.
Does this mean I'm part of the crew for real now?
Miku.
Before I'll allow you to join the Theory Bunker crew for real, you need to, find me the greatest video to cover ever. Only then will you be allowed to join.
Miku, that's totally unrealistic. Pocket's already done so much for us. Why wouldn't you just let him stay? There's no way he's ever going to find...
I found a video, Miku.
Wait, what?
Bring it over. Pocket, what the frick is this?
Is this even real? Pocket, how did you find this?
I found it on YouTube.
Pocket, this is genius.
Huh?
Fire up the avatar machine! Disclaimer, this video exists for the purposes of entertainment, education, and theory rebuttal. This video is not an attack on the creator of the theory, nor will it, unless otherwise stated, address the theory creator personally. Instead, the creator's name in this video will be used as either a name to address the theory by, or to address the assumed mindset of the creator at the time of this video's creation. Unless there is substantial evidence, it is not assumed the creator still stands behind the video in question. If you harass or witch hunt anyone involved with this video, I will personally disown you. Thank you. Welcome to what is probably the weirdest video you will ever see from me. So today our target is Channel Frederator. If you've never heard of Channel Frederator, you must have been living under a rock your entire life. The channel is owned by Frederator Studios, the TV production studio behind a fairly large chunk of my childhood and beyond. This, though, is their corporate shill channel, where they try to appeal to whatever kind of cartoon nerd they can hit on their random mega-popular cartoon dartboard, and most importantly, theorists. The latter is the side of Channel Frederator we're hitting today. Cartoon Conspiracy, as they call it, covers oddball theories from all over the spectrum, including, is Darwin from Gumball definitely evil? Is Plank alive? Or... Okay, pull it together, Miku. Today, though, we're not covering any random cartoons. No, we're covering two very important cartoons. Everyone knows Sonic Boom, the 2014 hit that everyone simultaneously loved and hated. Recently, I actually binged the entirety of this series. I can say with great certainty that it was alright. Nothing spectacular, but I didn't hate it, and there was at least good comedy. I had a good time. The other cartoon, though, is one that I've never watched, and only really know of through, well, coconut cream pies. That's right, it's Donkey Kong Country! Premiering in 1996 as one of the very first 3D animated cartoons, Donkey Kong Country is, memeable? Yeah, I know next to nothing about this cartoon. Thankfully, I'm not really going to need to know much about this cartoon because the presenter, Ariel, is apparently a huge fan of this cartoon for some reason, and I figure I can trust her word on it. To an extent, and we'll see where that extent comes into play later. So, how do you mash Sonic Boom and Donkey Kong Country together? Good question. Now, the first 3 minutes of this video is just Ariel drawing extremely tangential comparisons between the two shows that mean nothing lore-wise. It will become very clear, though, that she is very clearly doing this for the sake of Donkey Kong Country because she barely paid attention when she binged Sonic Boom specifically for this theory.
Hey gang, bandages make us look cool and edgy.
It is sports tape, and can you please not? Now, you might think I'm being a little harsh with the accusation here, but this fact will become more and more apparent as we get further into this theory. That out of the way, we're starting at the 3-minute mark and diving right into this theory. You ready? Let's do this.
What else do they have in common that brings people to believe that they're set in the same place, though? Well, they both take place on islands. Sonic's Island is unnamed, which, hey, if this theory works out, it could be Congo Bongo Island, which is Donkey Kong's home.
Actually, the island in Sonic Boom does have a name. It's Seaside Island, or Bygone Island. The name's not entirely consistent, but at least there's a name. The name Seaside Island comes from Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, while the name Bygone Island comes from Rise of Lyric as well. I don't know why, I'm not as savvy on the games as I am on the cartoon, but I at least know a bit. We know it's the same island from the cartoon because the town is still run by Mayor Fink and features many of the same residents like Fastidious Beaver, Percy, Salty, and even Styx. Bam! Island's got a name. How do we know that the canon of the Boom games lines up with the canon of the Boom cartoon, though? Because the cartoon itself makes that clear. There are plenty of concepts in the cartoon lifted straight from the games, like the electric whips and the mentions of the ancients, that the viewers expected to know going in. Heck, there's an episode late in Season 2, Return to Beyond the Valley of the Cubots, that features a character named Defect that comes from Fire and Ice that the characters already know before the episode begins, lending more credence to the fact that the games are the same canon as the show.
Are they the same island? We're getting there. It's very easy to believe that for sure. Neither show's island is like your regular tropical paradise. They both have snowy mountains, for example. Mountains that are so tall that they have permanent snow caps. This is definitely not impossible for a warm climate if the mountain's high enough, but it's not exactly common for there to be just one super tall snowy mountain on an island that's like not surrounded by a bunch of other mountains in a range of some kind.
What you have to remember though is that these mountains were made for episodic cartoons, or in the case of Sonic Boom, a game series. What do you do when you're dealing with a small island or area of an island, but you want the characters to always have somewhere new and exciting and different to go? Just slap whatever wherever you want. A random mountain? Done. Boom. You got snow for your episode where you need snow. You're done. Furthermore, in the case of both islands, because you did a really bad job of actually showing what the mountains on DK's Congo Bongo Island actually look like, they're both incredibly sheer, jutting nearly straight upward, and they're extremely tall. These are obviously fantasy mountains and aren't meant to be compared to real mountains. On top of that, let's look specifically at Sonic Boom for a moment. In the background of this image, we can see yet another mountain. This image is actually a wide shot that plays in nearly every episode in the series, yet it's a completely unknown part of the island. We can't see any landmarks that would clue us in to where on Seaside Island this could possibly be. Thusly, we could assume that this is a colder part of the island where snow would not be uncommon. After all, as you're eventually going to get to, Seaside Island is freaking enormous. But we'll get back to that when we get back to it. Finally, where does this geography on Seaside Island fit onto Congo Bongo Island? The only place on Congo Bongo with mountains is this one area right over here. That's it. There's no place where there's a really tall mountain, then another really tall mountain a little ways away. What's that? I'm being told we get back to this. Brace yourselves.
These islands also each have a desert, though Sonic Boom's is more of a red desert that you might find in like Arizona or New Mexico, while the desert outside of King K. Rool's lair looks more vast and empty, and more appropriately more like a coastal desert.
The deserts are a big tip-off in themselves. Heck, wide shots of Congo Bongo Island don't even have room for its own desert, much less a red desert somewhere else. Patience though, all will come together soon.
Speaking of where Sonic lives, take a look at his house. Again, when scenes were happening inside of Sonic's place, looking at the interior, I felt like I was inside DK's treehouse, just with some added furniture.
Hint number 1 that you didn't pay enough attention when watching this show. That's not Sonic's house. That's Tails' house. Sonic's house is on the beach, and that fact is really hard to miss because of the multitudinous jokes they make about the location of his house and the fact that he doesn't have a door. I genuinely don't know how you could have missed that.
Obviously, they're not living in the same house, but they've got to share the same architect at least. All the buildings in Sonic Boom's main village, Pleasant Valley.
Hint number 2, you paid zero attention to this show. Like, you literally had to pick the one name this town never actually had, didn't you? The supposed name comes from the episode Unnamed Episode. See, the village was founded as Badgerville, named after Jebediah Badger, but Jebediah was a tyrant, so the villagers ran him out of town and destroyed all traces of the village's name. From then forward, the village came to be called Unnamed Village until the episode Unnamed Episode, where a vote was put forward to change the name of the village. The two main candidates were Amy's Pleasant Valley and Eggman's Eggman City. Due to the circumstances of the episode, though, Amy lost the vote and the village was temporarily renamed to Eggman City until Eggman's scheme to take over the village was thwarted. After that, Styx, the true owner of the village as the only descendant of Jebediah Badger, decides to name the village Hedgehog Village after Amy. Pleasant Valley was never a name that this village had. The most accurate names would be Unnamed Village or Hedgehog Village, but definitely not Pleasant Valley. This slip-up is especially bizarre considering that you would have to have knowledge of the episode itself to make this error, but then you would know that the name was entirely incorrect. The Sonic Wiki, for example, lists the names of this village as Badgerville, Unnamed Village, Eggman City, and Hedgehog Village, with Pleasant Valley appearing nowhere in the entire article. In fact, the title of the village's article on the Sonic Wiki is Hedgehog Village. It baffles me how this mistake was even made. How in the actual flying heck do you watch that episode and come away thinking, yes, this place is named Pleasant Valley? How do you even mess that up? This more than anything shows Ariel's complete lack of knowledge about this show despite having watched it. I don't know what she was doing while watching this show, but it definitely wasn't actually paying attention, that's for sure.
Are identical to what we see on Congo Bongo. There are mostly round, hut-like houses made with wood on the bottom and then grass for the roof on top, or some variation of these materials. And among these, mixed in are more modern-looking designs as well, like Tails' workshop or other establishments in the village, or Candy Kong's house or the Barrel Factory.
Okay, yes, the houses were inspired from the same source. This, however, is general islandy architecture. Thatch roofing is popular in tropical climates as insulation, and the design of the roof is meant to vent out hot air. It's that simple. Furthermore, can we mention the fact that Donkey Kong's house is situated on a baobab tree? That's a kind of tree that has never once been seen on Seaside Island. Your move.
Also, while we're talking about man-made structures, might I mention the minecart tunnels? Minecarts are a staple in the Donkey Kong franchise, so they're used all the time in that show. But wouldn't you know it, in the episode Buddy Buddy Temple, we see that Sonic Boom has mine shafts on their island too.
Never mind the fact that mining is an extremely important industry, especially for places that have little to no trade interactions with other islands or countries. Both islands contain a fair amount of metal, and all that had to come from somewhere.
I should point out that Sonic Boom's island is a lot more populated, at least in the Pleasant Valley area. But we need to be fair. Donkey Kong Country's technology, when it came to 3D modeling, was very limited. Just look at how often they reuse character models. Like 5 different characters are just Donkey Kong reskinned. A village on Congo Bongo would have been a creepy town of different colored copies of the main cast.
But it still would have been a town. Let's swerve and talk about Reboot for a second. Reboot, for those of you that don't know, was the very first 3D animated cartoon to ever exist. It came out in 1994, 2 years before the Donkey Kong Country cartoon. Now look at these screenshots I'm about to show you and tell me that Donkey Kong Country couldn't have had more character models than it does. It probably wasn't about technological limitations so much as it was budgetary limitations. Even so, those are limitations that could have been worked around. It was the producer's choice, though, not to put in those extra characters and create a town. That's all there is to it.
That's not to say that there aren't any populated areas on Congo Bongo. In Congo Bongo Festival of Lights, Krusha, King K. Rool's army, and King K. Rool himself all go home for the holidays via minecart. So all of the Kremling's families live somewhere else on the island, just a minecart commute away. Also, in the episode Zero to Hero, Krusha has to explain that he stopped for refreshments at the swamp, I assume at a bar, and he says that he flirted with the girl lizard. And we never once see a swamp, a bar, or any female alligators ever in the series. My point being that the people and places we see on the show are not everything that Congo Bongo has to offer. It's the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more life happening on some other side of the island that we just never visit.
The thing is, that only applies to the Kremlings. There's no indication that this applies to anything other than that.
Though from looking at a full shot of the island, I don't know where all that can be. Maybe it's behind the mountain.
Or, maybe it's within all those trees? Just a thought.
You know in the Sonic Boom episode Planes, Trains, and Dudemobiles, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all have to go on a 15-hour road trip to get to the other side of their island, so the place they're in is supposed to be massive. Take a look at the globe in Cranky's cabin, and apparently Congo Bongo is a giant, banana-shaped, Australia-sized continent in the middle of the Pacific that no one has ever noticed. Hey, we shouldn't judge. Didn't they just discover a new continent over there? See, I would believe that it would take 15 hours to get from one place to another on an island that was as big as Australia, but, I can only use the old 3D technology excuse so many times, guys.
Congratulations! Welcome to the part of the video where Ariel starts debunking herself. You might be wondering why we're still here, huh? Well...
Honestly, the biggest difference that I see between these two islands that keep them from being the same are the cultures. Any Donkey Kong Country fan can tell you that over there they are all about bananas and barrels, and on Congo Bongo they are everywhere. Around Pleasant Valley, not so much. They have barrels and they have bananas, but they're not like the main export or anything. There's actually this one scene where I think it was Amy laying out fruit, and I was like, oh, look, a banana! And I thought it was strange that there were other fruits in the bowl. I experienced TV show culture shock.
You do know that it's common for large islands to have cultural differences between different regions of the island, right? I'm pretty sure Australia has plenty of regional quirks. Just speaking from my experience in the United States, which is not an island but still includes plenty of regional quirks, I can travel 8 or 9 hours north and experience a lot of regional differences. It happens. Yes, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate for a lot of Ariel saying why her theory doesn't hold up. That's because half of Ariel's reasonings in that regard are flawed, and I want to play around with alternate viewpoints, but we'll come back to this in my final thoughts.
But other than that, it seems like this theory has a lot going on for it, and it seems to hold up pretty well. Or does it? So I would mainly say because of Sonic's vast red desert that Congo Bongo does not have, that these two islands are not the same. There's also those 15 hours that Sonic has to drive to get across his island, while Congo Bongo, 45-minute walk. That is 1000% not the size of Australia. Get a new globe, Cranky, without the overcompensating banana island.
The thing is, we actually do have an aerial shot of Seaside Island. It's not banana-shaped like Congo Bongo, which is still a huge hit to the theory, but it actually does look about as big as Congo Bongo does on Cranky's globe. In fact, it could very well be that the wide shots of Congo Bongo in the show are plagued by technical limitations, and the Congo Bongo we see on the globe is the actual size of Congo Bongo. Doesn't it all mean the islands are the same, and it's probably more likely the globe is inaccurate than the wide shots, but it's at least something.
But this doesn't mean they couldn't be neighbors. The climates are still crazy similar, and the identical tones and themes and how their world works has to count for something, right? I asked at the beginning of this episode, are these two shows in the same universe?
Which is the angle this theory should have gone for all along, instead of meandering along the obviously wrong viewpoint of, are they on the same island? Now Ariel's about to go on a tangent about how Sonic Boom and Donkey Kong Country are in separate universes from their real game counterparts. Which, I mean, duh. It's all kind of obvious stuff, and I'm skipping over it.
How can we decipher if Donkey Kong exists in Sonic Boom, or if Sonic exists in Donkey Kong Country?
Well, DKC has 0 references to Sonic, so that's a dead end. Sonic, however, has a bunch of not Donkey Kong references, but video game references, particularly Mario. And Mario and Donkey Kong originated from the same arcade game, so if Mario is there, then Donkey Kong is there. In the episodes Let's Play Musical Friends and Nominatus Rising, there's a mention of a princess in another castle, which is Mario's lady, Princess Peach. So Mario must be around, right? Well, no. Unfortunately, when Mario is referenced in Sonic Boom, he's not mentioned like he's Sonic's old rival or buddy or anything. In the episode Eggman the Video Game Part 1, Tails mentions the Super Plumber Brothers, which is obviously supposed to be this world's Super Mario Brothers. So basically in Sonic Boom, Mario is just a video game that Sonic plays. That's so weird if you think about it.
Does that totally exclude Donkey Kong from existing in Sonic Boom Sonic's world, though?
I'm going to answer that question before you do. Maybe. It really depends on Cranky's status in the cartoon, which I'm not all that savvy on. If Cranky's origins fighting Mario for Pauline are never mentioned in the cartoon, then fine. In fact, from the limited amount of research I could do without watching the whole freaking show, which I do not at all have time for, it seems like that's the case. In that case, I suppose it's plausible. Keep an eye on that thought.
No, but this does. In the episode Space Mageddon-ocalypse, we get a view of the Sonic Boom planet when the characters go off into space. And if you take one look at the land below them, that doesn't look like Earth, does it? No continent on Earth forms that shape. Even if they've called their planet Earth at some point in the show, I don't think that's the same one we know of. Maybe you think it was just artistic license? Nope! At the beginning of Mombot, Sonic recognizes this little kid's science project as their solar system. It's similar to the Earth's solar system, but it doesn't look right. The planets are different colors and different sizes. They look kind of out of order. This is another universe entirely. Why am I putting so much focus on the fact that this is not the right planet Earth out of like all the universe choices of Earths we have? Because looking at Cranky Kong's globe one last time, that is very clearly what we recognize as a map of our Earth, with an Australia-sized Congo Bongo sticker slapped onto it.
The thing is, the globe can absolutely be called into question solely based on the size of Congo Bongo. If Congo Bongo isn't really that big, then the globe is inaccurate, and it's entirely possible that the world could very much look the way it does in Sonic Boom. Oh, that's the end of the theory? Well, final thoughts then. I stressed coming at this theory from multiple sides this video, mostly to prove a point. This theory was stupid. This theory was wholly and irreconcilably stupid. There were way too many overgeneralizations made, and the evidence was shaky at best and flat out wrong at worst. That said, and I ask you to take this with the biggest grain of salt imaginable, there were actually ways for this theory to be believable. A believable theory is a theory with minimal to no holes. Technically, it would be impossible to disprove Sonic and Donkey Kong living in the same world if some of my retorts to Ariel were taken into account. With things like that, the theory could have been made solid and I wouldn't really have anything to argue with. Above all else, I try not to write off theories based solely on how ridiculous they are. Everyone should feel empowered to make their ridiculous theories so long as they can be backed up and they take all the evidence into account. I love seeing a good oddball theory. Heck, I even have a few myself. Really, the main flaw here was that this wasn't thought through hard enough. Ariel took a cursory glance at Sonic Boom, said, "Yeah, I can use bits and pieces of this," and didn't really take a look hard enough at the bigger picture. This entire video felt like an excuse to talk about the Donkey Kong cartoon, and while liking something isn't a bad thing, half-baked messes like this are. This one needed to go back to the drawing board. End of story.
You know everyone's gonna make fun of you in the comments now for saying this theory could be legit.
I didn't say legit. I said believable. There's a difference.
Right.
Donkey Kong!